Welcome to Connected Through Unplugged. I'm joined with Azeem Ahmad. Azeem, will you tell us a little bit about you and your current role at Assa Abloy?
Yeah, so hello everyone. I'm Azeem, I'm the digital marketing lead there. So my job basically involves attracting traffic to the website, pretty much in all forms. The sector is industrial manufacturing, so it's quite a niche and tough sector to break into. Fortunately, a lot of that involves SEO, which I know a little bit about, enough to get by. So there's lots to sort of go at. Basically, in short, getting as many people to the website as possible, and more importantly, making them buy our product.
That's an important part.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In your opinion, what are the most common and successful forms of video and audio content that are really making a difference to business growth?
I didn't expect to say like the buzzword so soon, but I guess it really depends. So one of the things that I talk about quite heavily in my conference talks are not relying on like industry benchmarks so much. So I could quite happily sit here and tell you, oh, in industrial manufacturing, this and this works. But then the people watching or listening to this will have zero value from it. So the best thing that I suggest when it comes to questions like this is to, in the safest possible way, test audio, video, and break it as much as possible. I mean, we can go into massive amounts of detail, but I've done literal talks about how you can use things like scroll depth in Google Analytics and also the video watch time. So very short condensed version is if you find out both bits of information. So if people only scroll 50% of the page, but they don't watch a video, don't give them a video. Give them more informational like blogs and whatnot. If it's the opposite, they're more likely to watch a video but not scroll, then don't put a video at the very bottom of the page. It sounds like super obvious, people still do it. The one thing that I want people to take away from this is to make it as easy as possible for your audience to get what they want. And the best way to do that while you still can is getting a lot of this data out of current analytics. In answer to your question, it really depends on the audience that you're trying to reach. I'd love to be able to say, oh, YouTube Shorts, everyone should do it. But it doesn't work like that. And hopefully the people watching and listening will know.
What are some of the most important considerations when planning and producing your video, audio content to make sure it's aligning with the current content strategy?
I would say to not overthink and not overproduce. I think one of the biggest things that I've seen when undertaking work like this is that people, businesses, agencies, before they start venturing into this area, there's a lot of like hyper focus on like high production values. We must say this and this. We've got to get it in this way. It must be perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. So I always say you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be right the first time. So the most common things to look for are, like I said, an understanding of your audience, where it fits into a content strategy. Like I've just said, your audience will either want audio or video, or both, or in the worst case scenario, they want none. If they want neither audio and video, and you can see that, for example, like I just said, they're not scrolling, they're not watching a video, there's a disconnection between your content strategy and the audience. I used to say, oh, it means you're finished. It doesn't mean that you're finished. You can still get around. I say get around, you can still appeal to that audience in the short term by giving them short form videos. So be it a YouTube short, for example. And when people ask, well, why do I say that? Well, the obvious answer to me is their attention span is short. They might be coming onto your website and then leaving immediately because there's a disconnection. So what's the best way to capture someone's attention in a super fast way, like a short YouTube video? Bonus points if it's one that they can't skip and you know what this audience is interested in, then you've got them. Like last night, I just bought a car and I was watching videos on YouTube. I sat through like 30 seconds of adverts just to get to this video, which is 3 minutes long. So 30 seconds for 3 minutes. Like I've got no choice. I want to watch the video. And the targeting of the advert, they knew that I'd be interested in the product. And I was like, you've got me. So I completely like disconnected from what I was trying to do in terms of the car. I was like, this is 10 out of 10 targeting. Short form video if there's a disconnect. And then the obvious one is, if they want more text, give them text. If they want more video, give them video. Just make it easy for people.
What are some of the most common mistakes that brands are doing when it comes to creating the content, and how can it be avoided?
I would say the language and the tone of voice. So if you're a very corporate business, being very corporate in your videos is going to appeal to nobody. I think it's quite safe to say, so for example in the B2B space, a lot of B2B, let's say LinkedIn pages, a lot of B2B LinkedIn pages are kind of talking at the audience and not to them. this is our product. Our product does this. Our product can do this, this, and this. But you're not like engaging with the audience. I think the best example of like maybe engaging with their audience is, oh, it's Follow Friday. Follow 3 of our sales guys. Why? What for? Like there's no value. I think when it comes to stuff like this, there has to be an exchange of value. In exchange for people's time, the audience's time, you have to deliver them that value. So on top of things like the overproduction of video and audio and trying to be perfect before pushing things, I think just going back to the understanding of an audience and more importantly the tone of voice. If you're allowed to be a little bit more playful and push the envelope a bit, absolutely do it. And if you're really short on time, and you're looking at like short form videos, introduce the product or service as early as possible. If you know, for example, people are going to leave in like 5 seconds, just do it. So for example, some of the best like YouTube non-skippable ads, they're the ones that like kind of break the fourth wall and say, look, don't hit skip now. Watch this. And you can easily like call 3 or 4 of those. One that I think stands out for me as a complete opposite to that is Ryan Reynolds did an advert for a mobile company, Mint Mobile, and the entire advert was like written by ChatGPT and they said it. But because AI is such a hot thing at the moment, people are going to watch it. And also the fact it's Ryan Reynolds, of course.
Also helps.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think to answer your question, that focus on like overproduction and just like overdoing it. The one thing that I would like people to take away from this episode is you've got to have the right tone of voice, but it's got to be authentic. So don't like talk at people, talk to them. If COVID and like the lockdowns and the pandemic have taught us anything, it's that people crave like relationships. People want that feeling of a relationship with a brand. You don't get that with anything other than an authentic voice. If you are a brand that is trying to sell stuff and your tone of voice is very like direct and it's about the product and it's selling, people don't, I always use trainers, my default thing is, people don't buy trainers because they're trainers. People buy trainers because they want to know how it will make them feel. Are they comfortable? Can I run in them? Can I walk in them? People want that part of the story.
So true.
And I think a lot of businesses are focused on, buy this trainer, we'll give you 40% off. This trainer has no laces. Okay, great. What does that like mean? How can you tell people about it? But when you tell them about, oh, you can walk up to 10,000 kilometers in these trainers and still feel like they're as good as day one. People will go mental for that sort of stuff.
No, that is so true. I feel like it's more like the story as well around it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, than the actual thing. No, it's so interesting. Is video and audio the future? Is this the type of content that should be replacing, or do you think working alongside the older or current content strategies?
The latter. It should be working alongside them. And is it the future? Yes, absolutely. Without spending like hours talking about this stuff, all these recent changes that Google have announced, moving into like a more AI focused future and like question based queries, etc., there will literally be a new section on Google called Perspectives, where it will allow people to look at different people's perspectives on the same thing. This is where I think video and audio have a massive impact, because now your brand is going to be exposed to customers, but also other customers' opinions on your brand will be there front and center. So it's not just a case of saying, we are brand X, we are the best at this. Because very soon people will be quite easily able to click a button and see what other people are saying about your brand. And this is where you can do some really neat and cool things. Like for example, incentivize a review. Instead of being the typical brand that says, oh, you brought our product from us, we'll give you 20% off next time, and just kind of like hoping for the best. This is where you can kind of get a head start and say, you bought a product from us, we would love for you to give us a review. We'd prefer that to be in video form or in a short audio clip, which we'll then use. If you're happy for us to do that, we'll give you 40% off your next. Give them a code, you can track usage of that code, but more importantly, you've got a piece of genuine, authentic user created content. Obviously you can't tell them what to say, and if they turn around and have a really bad experience with your product, they're very unlikely to record a video saying this is a bad product. But the point I'm trying to get across is, in the not too distant future, customers will be able to see what other customers are saying about your product or service much more easier. So I think audio and video is where you get a massive head start on that, especially if you're in specific sectors like e-com. It is absolutely massive. I think gone are the days, not necessarily gone are the days, but I think the days where people will find the product that they want and they open a new tab and like look for a discount code, that will still happen. But I think more people are becoming more savvier now. So rather than speaking directly to the brand, I can just click a button and see what other people like me are saying about this product. And I think that's almost as valuable, if not more, than what people are saying, for sure.
No, it's so interesting. Well, thank you so much, Azeem, for joining us,
Thank you very
and
much
make
for
sure you
having me.
tune in next time.